reckless. Young boy, come up off that necklace to the trends. See a lead, be the band.
Good evening. Welcome to another episode of Postgame Podcast. We are here for a recap of the New York Knicks versus Detroit Pistons. The Pistons lose this game 118-116 in a hard-fought close game that came down to the final buzzer. A couple controversial calls down the stretch. This was an important game that the Pistons would have liked to get. They split the first two games in Madison Square Garden. We kind of talked about the fact that we could have left New York up 2-0, but we certainly wanted to take advantage of gaining home court advantage, which ultimately we were not able to do tonight. But we will have one more game in Detroit to nod the series back up at 2-2. But let's kind of look into the numbers and see what went wrong today for the Detroit Pistons. First, I'm gonna look at the box score. We kind of talked about we talked about how volatile the role players numbers can be from game to game. Obviously, Tim Hardaway had 0 points in game 2. He bounced back with a good effort. Usually, if he can get going early, it sets up a recipe for success, and that's exactly what he did. He had played well out the gate and finished with 24 points, which matched Cade's effort. But Tobias Harris did not have a single point up until probably midway through the fourth quarter, if I'm not mistaken. But for a lot of the game, he had 0 points, and we just can't. That's something that just absolutely can't have. We knew that we've kind of we're under the understanding that Asar Thompson, his job is to slow down Jalen Brunson, and if we can get a couple bonus buckets from him, then we'll take it. But it makes it that much more imperative that guys like Tobias Harris step up. Beasley had another rough shooting game. He shot 20% from 3, 2 of 10 from 3, 28% overall. Once again, we've talked about who is going to be that next option for Cade, and Beasley just didn't get the job done. Schroeder has been solid the entire series. Another good game for him today, 18 points. But just need more from Beasley, need more from Tobias. Can't say too much about Tim Hardaway. He bounced back in a big way in this game. Another key is not having Isaiah Stewart. Obviously, he's the heart and soul of our defense. We would have loved to have him out there to slow down Karl Anthony Towns, who is another person that bounced back today. He had 10 points in the last game. He had 31 tonight. Certainly could have used Stewart to slow him down. Anunoby has been very, very solid. Their supporting cast, we knew that they were going to lean on their starters and they were not going to depend too much on their bench. And the supporting cast on the starting five side of things did what they needed to do. Mikal Bridges had 20 points. We already know what Brunson's going to do. He had 30 to go with Towns 31, and Anunoby had 22. So, just a little bit more firepower overall. Although they ended up winning by only ended up winning by 2 points. So for the most part, we were able to match them, but Tobias, for all intents and purposes, is our number 2 option as far as starters are concerned. We know that Hardaway is very streaky, but Tobias being that other veteran presence, we got to get more than 5 points from him. He shot 2 for 9, 22%. He had a 3 at the very end, which ended up being an important 3, but it was kind of, it was the Knicks were up by 5 at that point, so they pretty much gave up that 3. But controversial play. They are inbounding on the Knicks are inbounding on their end of the court. They threw a pass that it was kind of in between whether it was going to be on the Knicks end or if it was going to go into the backcourt. And Brunson, it appears, I didn't get a chance to listen to it, but it appears that Brunson touched the ball on their side and gathered it in the backcourt. And it was kind of a question as to, what was that over and back? As a biased Pistons fan, I would have to say that was definitely over the back. And I think ultimately, I can't remember what ended up happening as a result of that. But, so as a result of that, Brunson gets fouled, makes one, misses the second one on purpose. None of the Pistons players touch the ball after it hits the rim and the clock runs out. So technically the clock should have never ran because none of the Pistons touched it. Granted, if the Pistons had touched it, the clock would have expired and the Pistons would have lost. But because the clock started prematurely, they had to give the Pistons the opportunity to inbound it with 0.5 seconds in our backcourt, about three quarters of the way away from our basket. I was talking to my homeboy, and they should have made it a much easier pass for Duren, although they wanted to make it a shorter shot for Cade. If you can't get the ball in, there's no opportunity for Cade to make the shot. So it ended up being a tough pass for Duren that Cade was not able to corral. Ball goes out of bounds. Knicks win the ball again. Now, let's get into the team stats here to look at the key stats of the game. This was, this was a heartbreaking loss, but at the same time, we're still not in a bad situation. Luckily, we were able to hold the Knicks off in that second game in New York because we are still in a position to tie the game up, tie the series up in Detroit, and head back to New York where we have played pretty well all year. All right, when we look at the team stats. Let's look at what the key stats were. We shot about even field goal percentage wise, 40 to 86 and 39 to 86. So nearly dead even as far as that's concerned. The Pistons shot a little better from behind the arc. They shot 43% from behind the arc. The Knicks had 2 more free throws. They always shoot free throws really well, which is probably because their center that gets to the line so much is such a good free throw shooter. They shot nearly 90% from the free throw line. The Pistons out-rebound the Knicks by 3. Pretty even. The Pistons had 3 more turnovers, which, always seems to kill us. But we conceded less points off turnovers. The Knicks, once again, controlled the paint. They had 10 more points in the paint than us. But yeah, statistically, obviously there's not going to be a whole lot of glaring stats when one team beats another team by 2 points. Biggest thing that I can see is that the Knicks are got to the line more, and they have more points in the paint. Yeah. So this is not going to be a long show. I just wanted to give you guys a recap of the game. I'm actually going to slide over to the Know It All podcast to talk about the NFL draft. The Lions are picking pretty soon. Let's see where we're at right now. The Lions are 6 picks away. Oh, Derek Harmon. Wow. Yeah, the Lions are 6 picks away if they don't trade back into the second round. But In conclusion, the Pistons lose tonight at home in Game 3, the first of 2 games in Detroit, by a score of 118 to 116. A couple controversial calls, a couple. I don't want to get too much into the nitty gritty of ticky tack fouls and this and that. I mean, Brunson, you know, deservedly so, gets some calls, for sure. He made a couple tough buckets down the stretch, and we just weren't able to stop him. I expect to see Tobias Harris bounce back next game. He had, I know in the game 1 he had a pretty good game, but I think he had the first 2 games are pretty good for him. So I expect to see him play better. I really hope that Beasley can snap out of his funk. He has not had he hasn't had any good games as of yet. We could really use just the electricity and excitement that he brings when he's playing well. I think that'll go a long way in us evening the game up, and then we'll just have to see what happens in New York. I want to say that it goes 2 in New York, 2 in Detroit, 1 in New York, 1 in Detroit, and then Game 7 in New York if we get that far. But yeah. Please subscribe to Bleacher Speakers on YouTube, Postgame Podcast on all audio aggregators. Check me out if you're watching. If you see this in time, I'm heading over to the Know It All podcast to discuss the Lions pick, and we'll be back this weekend with more Pistons coverage. I'm out.